Alright, so for today onwards, I'll be doing like video journals to look back on the day's price action and to like show myself what I saw on the charts today, maybe what I missed, reflect on the trades that I took, and like the emotions that come with it. So, starting with today, which is Monday, um, 27th, we're from open. We had this huge opening gap, which was a result of people basically taking out their positions, investors taking out their positions because of the deepseek AI thing. And if you look, Nvidia also plummeted, so I guess there's like the correlation between the thing. Well, I mean, this shit had a massive gap, but yeah. And so we opened up with this huge gap, and from Sunday evening all the way till like the morning session, we just completely dropped. If we look at how much that was, it was about wow, 1,000 points. So coming into the day, I wasn't really expecting a huge expansion lower. Um, like I did open up my chart and I did see the last time that we had such a massive day. Like what was the range on that again? Like about 4,000. Let's look back, and I think I just saw this one. That was like the most obvious one that I looked at. It was about similar 4,000. And so, like usually after the big drop, it looks like there is some sort of pullback if it was truly like an AMD type of setup. And being the start of the week, I did want to see this as maybe creating that like manipulation on the weekly candle. So I did like price coming down here and taking out like for, yeah, I did like it coming down, tagging this sell side, and then seeing that little reaction off of that. So after this, coming into the morning session, I wanted to see us trade back into a form of discount or premium in this case, so which would be above 50%. And so when I look at my PD arrays that were created, I have this 4-hour fair value gap, which lies between equilibrium. So it's a nice spot for a retracement to occur to. And did notice that from London, we did get somewhat of a push up, and we were expecting bullish like bissies. If we look on the 15 minute, it's like a little bit clearer when we go into that open. This 15 minute fair value gap kind of held price as it went up. Um, I also like this rejection straight after taking this sell side. Go into the 1 minute. So as I was saying, this rejection was completely like perfect. We didn't displace past this low. It was kind of like just wicking it and coming back into the range. And we just took it out by about 70, 60 ticks. So I guess that is enough to like trigger that sell side pull to be like an influx of orders back into the market for it to be bought back up. And yeah, from the early morning pre-market, we did see that run up, like late London pre-market, we saw that run up. And what I was focused on in the opening was 9:30, see where we'd be going to. Because at this point, I didn't want to see like I didn't want to see another expansion law because that means there's some sort of manipulation going on, and I'm gonna get cooked in it. I won't be able to read where it's going, and if I don't even know how much we already went down for like 1,000 points. I literally don't know how much more we're gonna go down. So I wanted to see what open was giving me, and I wanted to see if I was gonna get that retracement back into that. But since I didn't know what was gonna happen, I just sat on my hands. So wanted to see what price was telling me. I was not interested in taking any sort of trade as we moved up. So as I saw this impulsiveness, I began to well, I just solidified that we're probably gonna go do a bit of that retracement. And honestly, there's not much I can just talk about here. It's just yeah, price coming back. I think there's a 50-minute fair value gap there. 50-minute fair value gap. That takes it up all the way into that 4 hour SCB that I highlighted. This thing right here. And I guess after it reached into that, we did begin to see that rejection. It's like that sell side pull. It didn't go too far into it. See how much it went about. Maybe like 50 ticks. Oh, nothing too crazy. It was like 20 ticks. And we also failed to reach that equilibrium. But I didn't really mind that because we reached that PD array. And if we look at ES, um, ES actually, sorry. Oh, ES also failed to make it actually. I guess I missed that. I thought it made the equilibrium, but it didn't as well. But it did make it into a 4 hour gap. No, the 10 a.m. didn't make it into that gap. Sorry, but there was this SMT there between ES and NQ, and so although I didn't think that price was going to um continue to create a new low of the day and potential low of the week, I did want to see it hang around at the bottom because on days that there are strong like movement or price reaches a liquidity pool that it was going to, it usually just sits around until like close or whatever, and it doesn't do too much. And that's what I was expecting for today. And I guess that did pan out because it closed at less than maybe one quartile in, so 25 percentile close. Didn't make it into above equilibrium. But yeah, and even after we made it into that 4 hour, I wasn't really interested in taking any sort of shorts because I was gonna see what like price action was gonna do. Um, there was also no displacement on the black candles or down close candles, and so it would have been just gambling to take a trade there, take a short because there's nothing to base it off of. It's a 4 hour PDRA, and so a 1 minute market structure shift and one without displacement as well wouldn't have given me conviction for the trade. And as far as I was concerned for the downwards move, I did want to see the AM lows being taken. Again, this would have been my ideal scenario that we make it into this, potentially touch near the consequent encroachment, and then make our way down. But we didn't get that. But once I began to see this displacement after coming in, I realized that yeah, we might take out these AM lows. These are pretty significant lows. There's also like they're kind of stacked, so there is liquidity like sitting there, and of course it's so volatile because I'm sure there would have been a bunch of investors in, so we just target that liquidity. It's just not doing too much because we already reached the higher time frame objective, I guess, after the huge sell-off. We came into this low, and I guess that would have been the objective for the day, and we reached that. So it's just going to be sitting in that range. Um, I'm just so like honestly, I'm very happy we're just sitting out and not getting any FOMO from a trade, and then trying to be right and like trying to force my will onto the chart. I was potentially thinking about taking this turtle soup off of this, but then again, it's just like um, it would have been breaking my rules. So one of the rules that I've like recently implemented is that if I have a liquidity pool of interest on my target, I don't want to be taking a trade when it's either very close to the 50% or below it, because I don't know from here onwards whether it's going to create a 15-minute fair value gap and go back into that, and then I get cooked, or if it's just literally going to range. And it's happened to me so many times, like this ranging barcode shit, that I've just realized that taking trades during macros or waiting for premium discount is the best, because that's when the moves happen fast and you can take your profits honestly. It helps your mind rest at ease. Because I know if I'm standing in this entire price action, I'll begin to give myself ideas. A big habit of mine is seeing like this and a bit thinking like, oh, if I enter here, it will just go down to the lows. That's an easy trade. But then I'll be hit with this. It's just like a truck to my face, and it just reminds me of how impulsive some decisions are. I did place one trade, and so since I'm learning, I don't have an account currently. I'm just placing drawings at the specific time I want to enter, and I think until I have enough data to show that my system works, um, it's just better to do it this way and to truly convince myself. Because if I can do it on demo, I can definitely do it with a real account because nothing changes. And yeah, so I began to look for something, or I was just sitting there, just looking for a price to see what it would do. But after my objective, well, a liquidity pool was hit, which would then signal some sort of reversal to me was hit. I went down obviously into the lower time frames. When that barcode shit was going on, I'm obviously not sitting on the 1 minute chart. It's just not going to do anything for me. Like on the 50 minute, you can see how terrible that is. You can definitely see how bad it is. And so as price came down and took this low, and another thing I want to know here is that this is during a macro. Sorry, um, this happened during the macro, like the hourly macro. So which is 11:50. Oh, no, sorry, 14:50 to 15:10. So the last 10 minutes of an hourly candle and the next 10 minutes of an hourly candle is a macro, and after a delivery to liquidity or a key PD array, you can expect to see like some sort of setup form, and that's what I was looking for here. And especially since it was close to closing, I wanted to see a like a pushback into um the range, obviously, into the massive daily range. I didn't think we were going to close low. Thought we could close back in a bit, get closer to that equilibrium, or even just take out some of these internal highs. And that's where I just took my profits. So during the macro, watching the candles, I'm watching what's really happening at the AM low. I noticed we're not displacing past it. Like you can see how massive these, or like see how big these candles are showing displacement. But past that low, we're not displacing past it, and instead we have a break of structure with this, create that fair value gap. And I've there's been too many times where I've been impulsive and forced my will onto the chart, where I want to be like I want to predict what's gonna happen instead of actually react. And so I've just stopped entering on the first fair value gap, or like I wouldn't enter off of just a liquidity sweep and then fair value gap. Until I build more trust in that, it's just not my entry model. I like to wait until a bit more confluence. And because there was also, I was watching this on the 5 minute, there is this Sibi. So I want to see it close past it. I wanted to see kind of invalidate it. I did see this, but the main thing I wanted to see was a reaction off of this one. Because if we were to go lower, I wouldn't want to see, if we were to go lower from here, I wouldn't see this top one filled. Because what do? We just took this high and we displaced down. So I would assume we just come back here and then sell off if we were to go lower. But with everything combined, So all the ideas, just type them out just for the sake. Final hour macro. Buy side swept and sell side swept. Huge. So the inversion fair value would be obviously this, because we got that close past it. Oh, sorry, we got that close past it with this 510, and so that would create, obviously it would be a good entry point. As we can see, this inversion fair value gap was overlapping with this new um with this BC, and that's where I took my entry. So all these factors, and the fact that I don't want to see lower, um gave me the confidence to take this buy. At first I was gonna enter at this point and then keep my thing below the consequent, but I did realize that it's not, if it leaves without me, it leaves without me. And the biggest issue with my capital management is that I leave my stops too tight. And what I wanted to do here was basically buy as the candles were going down and to begin to trust myself on the actual trade idea. And so I bought a little under the consequent and gave myself a 56 to 60 tick stop loss. And that was just to allow it to color outside just a bit, but I didn't want to allow this to be invalidated. And so yeah, that's honestly where I took my entry. As far as being in the trade, the the emotions, yeah, I definitely have to work on separating the emotions from my trades. As it was creating this down close candle, I did remember myself panicking a bit, um, maybe second guessing myself. But then I just told myself, yeah, you waited, showed patience, you took the right setup, just ticked everything else off. You have the right like confluences for you. So it's just like just trust the idea. And I'm not I'm not aiming for my full target, which would have been this and slightly higher, but I'll just take the internal high. I won't take the buy side and all of this liquidity that's sitting here. I'll just go for this. Still 60 points. That's enough for me. And yeah, I remember also as price was coming down, creating this candle. That was it's just gave me a good sign. But then straight after, I saw these candles forming, and trust me, when I, when I saw that buy candle for was also feeling kind of disappointed that this trade might not work out because it looked so good and it was so close. But yeah, I just sat through it, and honestly, the satisfaction from like a trade hitting always, it just never misses. It's like it just reinforces that the good behavior. Like you waited so long, you waited for all your confluences, and so it's just rewarding that when you give heed to your rules, like it'll work out fine, and it's just a system that has to be implemented. Um, and yeah, that was the trade. I could have aimed for this, but for me, when I always have a big target that I want to reach for, it always leaves me to break even. So like it could potentially go like this and then come all the way back down and then go to my target. It's happened so many times that I've just learned to take profits at internal highs or even just call it off because small profits is still profits and this isn't even that small. It's 260 points. It's pretty good it's a pretty good amount to be making. It's with just one mini that's a little over well 1,500 or 1,200. So yeah, mm, that was the review of today. We just went up a bit higher and closed off. But yeah, very unexpected day. I thought I'd start making these videos today just to keep myself accountable, just to also look back and reflect on, and see how all of these things work together. Honestly, And yeah, um, just call it off at that.